It was pretty late at night and I was coming home from a gig and I got a call from Chris's manager. He asked me if I wanted to be Chris Cornell's bass player. And I tried to be as calm as possible and control myself. And I just was kind of like, oh man, that's awesome. Yes, obvious, yes, please. And we finished our conversation. I was way out in the sticks. And I remember stopping my car, getting out of my car, running out into the field and doing like somersaults and like dirt angels and rolling around and like screaming and like just like this joyous moment. I felt like all the time and effort and work all had come together at that one moment. And now I have my opportunity, and this is the moment that made it all worthwhile. I came from kind of a purist background with the bass. I wanted to really get the knowledge of the upright before I moved on to the electric bass. I ended up going to Long Beach State and I got my degree in classical performance on bass. I was working basically 8 days a week. I had jazz gigs every night of the week. I had a church gig in the morning on Sundays. I played my funk thing on Mondays and occasionally different days of the week with that. So I was out late and up early, and I was so tired all the time. I actually ended up getting in a couple car accidents. In one of the car accidents, my bass went into the river. So I didn't have a bass for like over a year. I was borrowing a bass from somebody. And so yeah, the depths of the suffering in my 20s were pretty intense. So once the Cornell gig ended, I was kind of bouncing back and forth between bands. I played with Vertical Horizon and a couple of bands. And the thing about being a sideman is, your job doesn't really last that long. Most artists filter through musicians every couple of years. So your gig ends, and then you got to search for another gig, and then that gig ends, and then you got to search for another gig, and it's just this perpetual thing where you're always looking for work, and it never ends. And that's when I got approached to join the Lukas Nelson band. The way he presented to me was being, an equal member of the band, and that was a very attractive thing to me. Lukas being Willie's son, Neil is basically Lukas's uncle. We actually call Neil Uncle Neil. He used to watch us at Farm Aid. We play Farm Aid every year, and there'd be Neil on the side of the stage, which is like so nerve-wracking. And then one year he hit us up. He needed a band to play for this protest, and he asked us to come play with him. Playing with Neil, it's like you're playing with like a mythological creature. My earliest memory was driving in my dad's truck when I was around 2 or 3 years old and hearing Neil Young on the radio. The Harvest record was pretty much on repeat. And then later on down the line, playing with Neil on stage, I had some amazing moments where I closed my eyes and I was in my dad's truck, and then I open my eyes and I'm there and there's Neil standing in front of me, and I get the chills just talking about it right now. Unfortunately, my dad, he had passed away a few years before all of this happened, so, he didn't really get the Chris Cornell thing, but I think if he had seen me play with Willie and Neil, we could have shared in that joy together. It's a little bittersweet. My collection of basses is rather large. I have a lot of Yamaha basses, but I have other makers as well, but you're not going to really see me playing those other basses. The thing that really attracted me to the Yamaha bass was the feel of it. It was the perfect combination of the passive sound, but also they just have this really sturdy, strong feel. Like I'm not going to play through the bass. It can take what I'm giving it. It's just something that you don't get from other basses. Guys from the custom shop at Yamaha hit me up and they had gotten the go-ahead to do a custom bass with me, and it was kind of just an open book. I've been dreaming of having a custom bass probably since I started playing, and it really is a special thing to me. Not only was I in control of the aesthetic of the bass, but I also had control of like tonally how we were gonna approach that as well. I'm trying to get closer to a really great passive sound. We spent a lot of time looking through paint. I was kind of modeling it against like an old Ford Bronco. We designed the pickup covers that have the metal that look pretty rock and roll, you know. I'm so proud of this bass. It's one of the things that I'm gonna like leave for my children, that I feel like it's gonna be such a great gift to them. I've played with Neil with these basses. I've played with Willie Nelson with these basses. I've played with Koshi Inaba in Japan with these basses. I've played in the Star is Born movie with these basses. These basses have gone all over the world with me. I just really appreciate all the work they put in and the craftsmanship. The definition of mastery isn't that you know it so well that you never have to do it again. It's a constant study. I have to be comfortable with the fact that every day on the upright, I have to get up and I gotta play long tones. I gotta warm up real slow. I gotta play scales. I have to be very, very, very methodical with what I do with my warm up before I get to do anything fun. And I'll have to do that for the rest of my life. The only way you're gonna make it doing this is if you really, truly love it. You gotta live it and breathe it. I didn't get into this, you know, with the idea that you can get girls, you can party or any of that. You know, I was a nerd in high school. I listened to jazz and a lot of music that my friends didn't care about at all, and I was digging into that stuff deep. And I think that that's probably why I'm still doing this. I'm lucky that I stuck with it and weathered the storm. You know, I've come back around and found myself. It's a beautiful thing.